A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya with you. It is Monday morning and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the biggest news stories that have unfolded in the last 24 hours and also what all to expect in the day ahead, starting with the headlines. Prime Minister Modi in Philippines to attend ASEAN, India and East Asia summits. Bilateral meeting with US President Donald Trump today. India, Australia, US, Japan hold first meeting to give shape to quadrilateral coalition. Government to inject more capital into state-owned banks to spur economic growth. Finance Minister says banks focusing on supporting MSMEs. Vice President emphasizes on need for peace and harmony in society, says solution to all disputes possible through dialogue. "135 people killed and hundreds injured in 7.3 magnitude quake at Iran-Iraq border. Quake hits a mountainous Sulaymaniyah province in northern Iraq, toll likely to rise. And Leander Pace and Purav Rajya lift a Knoxville Challenger men's doubles title at Tennessee in the United States. Pankaj Advani clinches 17th world title at World Billiard Championship. Our story is from the Philippines, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the capital Manila to take part in the 50th edition of the ASEAN Summit and also the East Asia Summit. On Sunday, Prime Minister Modi attended the gala dinner organized for world leaders and briefly met with US President Donald Trump and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and the leaders of Russia, Japan and Malaysia. The Prime Minister will today hold a 45-minute-long bilateral meeting with the US President. Meanwhile, ahead of the summits, India and the US, along with Japan and Australia, also got together to revive an alliance called the Quadrilateral on the sidelines. With the aim of deepening ties with ASEAN member states and the Indo-Pacific region, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the Philippines capital Manila.
The ASEAN and the East Asia Summit will focus on the major issues of the day, including on terrorism financing, money laundering, as well as poverty alleviation, on nuclear proliferation, and all these important issues that face the region and the world.
On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is slated to hold bilateral talks with US President Donald Trump today. On Sunday night, Prime Minister Modi held a separate pull-aside meetings with Trump and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Prime Minister Modi and Trump had last met in June at the White House. Today, the two leaders are expected to deliberate on a number of key issues of mutual interest, including the security situation in the Indo-Pacific region. There have been concerns over China's growing military presence in the region, and Washington favors a greater role for India. The issue came up on Sunday as well during a meeting of officials from India, the US, Japan and Australia under the proposed quadrilateral coalition of the four countries. After the Quad talks, MEA said they agreed that a fair, open, prosperous and inclusive Indo-Pacific region serves the long-term interests of all countries in the region and of the world at large. The officials also exchanged views on addressing common challenges of terrorism and proliferation linkages impacting the region, as well as on enhancing connectivity. Apart from holding talks with the Trump, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will over the next 3 days hold bilaterals with various world leaders, including the other leaders of the Quadrilateral, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. Ahead of the summit, at the pre-dinner reception, Prime Minister Modi spoke to Trump, Abe and was also seen talking to Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev and Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak. All the leaders were dressed in Barong Tagalong, the national dress of the Philippines.
1, 2, 3.
Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister since Indira Gandhi to visit Manila, the capital of Philippines, in 36 years. The ASEAN Summit is being held from 13th to 14th of November, while East Asia Summit from 13th to 17th of November. While the ASEAN summit is likely to focus more on trade and investment-related issues, leaders at the East Asia summit are expected to delve deeper into issues relating to maritime security, terrorism, non-proliferation and migration. Prime Minister Modi will address the ASEAN, India and East Asia summits on Tuesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to the other top story now. Finance Minister Arun Jaitely has said that the government will inject more capital into state-owned banks to strengthen the banking system and spur economic growth. Now, addressing heads of state-owned banks in Gurugram, Jaitly said that the government will put in more capital from the budget through bonds and banks' equity expansion. He added that the banks will support the micro, small and medium enterprises because the sector has no access to international finance or the bond market.
If we look at the positive contribution of the PSBs, whether it is the agricultural sector and annually the credit in that sector, or it's the infrastructure creation, or it is support to the industry, or for that matter, it is the massive program of financial inclusion and an extension of that financial inclusion into other social schemes of the government, the PSBs themselves become the major players.
And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has emphasized on the need of peace and harmonious environment in the society for development. Now, addressing the Ahimsa Divas function organized by Ahimsa Vishwa Bharati on its 13th Foundation Day in Delhi, the Vice President said that solutions to disputes can be reached through dialogue. The Vice President also said that non-violence is the only path to creating a healthy society. He said establishing non-violence, peace and goodwill in society, nation and all over the world has been the purpose behind the establishment of a Vishwa Bharati Institute. He also said that Indian culture was pluralistic and unity in diversity was its fundamental characteristic. Pinning hopes on the younger generation, he said that Ahimsa will play an important role in guiding them to the path of non-violence.
हिंसा के द्वारा कोई काम सफल नहीं होगा। दुनिया भर का इतिहास देखिए, अब कितना भी हिंसा करो फिर अंत में मार्ग क्या है? जो हिंसा किया वो हिंसा से वो भी खत्म होता है। हम लोग अनुभव कर रहे हैं। इसलिए देश में भी जो हिंसा का मार्ग लेकर आगे बढ़ रहे, मेरा अनुरोध है उन लोगों से, भाई हिंसा से कुछ होने वाला नहीं है। लोकतंत्र में हिंसा का कोई स्थान नहीं है और बैलेट इज मोर पावरफुल देन बुलेट। अहिंसा के अभाव में समाज में शांति व सद्भावना नहीं हो सकते। हमारे देश के प्रधानी विकास पर बल देते हैं। विकास के लिए समाज में शांति व सद्भावनापूर्ण वातावरण का जरूरत होती है।
And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu also participated in the East-West Cultural Festival organized by ISKCON in the national capital on Sunday. He asserted that education is a key instrument in developing social infrastructure as it breaks the vicious cycle of poverty and underdevelopment. He also underlined that culture is the life-sustaining force of social infrastructure. Here are the details.
Delivering the keynote address at the East-West Cultural Festival organized by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu said that India has served as a seat of knowledge for millenniums. He also noted that India is a land of Mahapurushas who dedicated their lives to serve humanity.
For millenniums, India has served as the seat of knowledge. Combined with its deep and rich culture, it has taught countless people the richest path of life. India has also been the land of Mahapurushas who did their lives to serve the humanity. Once upon a time, this country used to be called as Viswa Guru.
The Vice President also said that the life of Swami Prabhupada, or the founder of ISKCON, was a story of dedication and courage. The Vice President noted that Swami Prabhupada established more than 100 temples, cultural centers and farm communities and wrote commentaries for over 75 books.
Globalization and technology, the world has become interconnected and multiculturalism is common. Much before all this began, Swamiji Prabhupada had already built a bridge between the East and the West, and that bridge was a cultural bridge.
He also called the Hare Krishna Food Life program as the world's largest food relief package. Under the Anna Amrita program, ISKCON members daily feed 12 lakh government school students free meals. Under the Tribal Care Initiative, the organization is providing education, health care in remote parts of Assam, Tripura, Jharkhand, Odisha and West Bengal. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news. Now, the 10-day winter session of the Karnataka legislature will begin in Belagavi today. Now, the season is likely to be the penultimate session of the 14th Legislative Assembly, whose term draws to a close in May 2018. Now, the session is expected to be stormy, with the opposition BJP seeking to corner the Congress government on a host of issues, including the demand for Minister KJ George's resignation over a CBI FIR against him. The state CID has cleared him of the charges. The ruling government is also slated to table several bills. These include the Karnataka Appropriation Bill 2017, the Karnataka Prevention and Eradication of Inhuman Evil Practice and Black Magic Bill 2017, and the Karnataka Extension of Consequential Seniority to Government Servants promoted on the basis of Reservation Bill 2017, among others. More news from down south. Ruling LDF in Kerala has asked its Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan to decide on the fate of Transport Minister Thomas Chandi, who is facing allegations of land encroachment. Now, the decision was taken in a meeting attended by the leaders of the LDF coalition parties. Chandi is in a spot over alleged encroachment of a lake and violation of wetland rules for construction for his resort in the backwaters of Alappuzha. The opposition, the Congress-led UDF and the BJP are demanding Chandi's resignation over the controversy. Let's get you all the election-related news now. Here is Verdict 2017. It is the last day of Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's 3-day Gujarat campaign tour. Today, he will meet Dalit leaders. He will also be visiting 4 villages in Patan and hold a discussion with nomadic tribe communities there. He will also visit temples in Varna, Shankeshwar and Becharaji. Rahul Gandhi will also address public meetings in Varna. Later, he will be in Mehsana, the constituency of Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel, where he will address a women's gathering. He will end the day with the small corner meetings in Vishnagar, the place from where the Patidar reservation stir had initiated. Meanwhile, the Election Commission will today hold the pre-poll preparedness review meeting with the chief electoral officers of Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura in New Delhi. The Election Commission will also be briefed on the achievement of the targeted enrollment drives aimed at reaching out to 18 lakh voters of the 3.2 million populations there. Now, among the other issues that will be discussed will be the launching of the BLO Net, the pilot project of the Election Commission, which is aimed at enabling booth-level officers to map minute information about polling stations as well as nearest hospitals, roads and other landmarks. Assembly elections in the 3 states, remember, are due next year. And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Shirai and you're watching Law of the Land.
Formulation of the minimum wage is crucial.
Minimum wage will not be same for each and every employment.
Minimum wage committee have a tripartite negotiation with the government.
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television.
Once a private game reserve of the Royal House of Jaipur, Ranthambore. This national park and tiger reserve is one of the world's best known wilderness areas. Located 14 kilometers from Savai Madhopur, Ranthambore offers some of the finest opportunities for sighting the magnificent tiger in the wild. Comprising 1,334 square kilometers of wild jungle scrub, hemmed in by rocky ridges, and at its center is the 10th century Ranthambore fort. The dainty cheetal, sambar deer, the blue bull antelope or nilgai, rhesus macaque, langur, and an incredible variety of birds. Amidst a setting of dhok, fig and banyan trees makes a visit to this park a delight.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking history on Rajya Sabha TV.
From cowries to metal pieces, Indian currency has seen many changes. The earliest punch-marked coins came from Gandhar. The East India Company at the turn of the 19th century also minted its own coins. The Indo-Greek coins come from a colony left behind by Alexander. They depict the golden rule of the Guptas, with embossed human portraits and matrimonial alliances like Chandragupta Maurya's wedding with Seleucus I Nicator's daughter.
Welcome back after the break. Let's get you an update on the smog situation in Delhi NCR, and the Delhi government will file a review petition in the NGT today, asking the tribunal to reconsider their decision of implementing the car odd-even scheme with exemptions. On Saturday, the Delhi government had called off its plan to implement the odd-even vehicle rationing scheme after the NGT said that there will be no exemption for women, two-wheelers and government servants. Earlier, the NGT had reprimanded the Delhi government for acting late on rising pollution levels and had said that the odd-even scheme will automatically come into force if the particulate matter 2.5 level goes above 300 and the PM10 crosses the 500 mark in the future. So the air we breathe in Delhi has deteriorated to unprecedented levels. Now there is an urgent need to identify the main sources of air pollution through specialized research and address the problem through innovative and targeted approaches. Take a look at this report.
It's November and air pollution has touched alarming levels in Delhi as thick grey smog hangs low across the region. Delhi faces this adversity around this time with problems compounding each year. While solutions like shutting down power plants, introducing traffic restrictions or vehicular movement, even the recent cracker sales ban during Diwali appear well intentioned. The fact is that India's battle against pollution needs more than short-term solutions.
पोल्यूशन को रिड्यूस करने के लिए हर आदमी अपनी कैपेसिटी पे क्या योगदान कर सकता है वो उस पे चर्चा हो तो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा, जिसमें पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज़ करे, कंस्ट्रक्शन ना करे, अगर ओपन एरियाज़ हैं तो उस पे ग्रास लगा के डस्ट पार्टिकल के एक्सपोजर को कम किया सकता है। हाई मल्टी स्टोरी बिल्डिंग या हाई राइज बिल्डिंग से पानी का छिड़काव भी किया जा सकता है।
The sources of air pollution are varied, like industry and brick kilns, transport vehicles, diesel generators and domestic fuel. However, crop burning by farmers and emissions from the transport system seem to be among the biggest distributors. Delhi needs 10,000 to 11,000 buses but is barely half that number. Similarly, crop burning has to be replaced with measures that are affordable and can benefit small farmers too.
We have proposed to the NCR governments or state governments also that manual sweeping and clearing should be stopped. Mechanized sweeping should be done. The brick kilns needs to be stopped until they have got zigzag clearance. Then construction site has to be sprayed with waters. Traffic jam has to be stopped. So all these measures we have to take, jointly we have to take.
Increasing air pollution can take a toll on the urban economy by cutting short lifespan of people, thereby increasing healthcare costs to the government. According to a new study published in the reputed medical journal The Lancet, India has been ranked #1 in pollution-related deaths with 2.5 million deaths in 2015. China recorded the second highest number of such deaths at 1.8 million. India accounted for about 28% of an estimated 9 million pollution-linked deaths worldwide in 2015. Pollution will also negatively affect Delhi's ability to attract high-skilled expatriates, severely impacting inflow of investments and hit sectors like tourism and hospitality. As the urgency for putting in place effective solutions gathers momentum, it is critical to prioritize the options to tackle pollution. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to the other health concern, that is dengue, and the BJP in West Bengal has written a letter to Health Minister JP Nadda seeking his intervention to tackle the state's dengue situation. The party has termed the situation as an epidemic. Now, in a letter to the Health Minister, BJP State President Dilip Ghosh alleged that hospitals of the state are inadequately equipped to treat patients and are sending them home without meaningful treatment. The BJP leader also accused the state government of instructing the hospitals not to write dengue in prescriptions. The party also alleged that there is a huge shortage of dengue tests in the state-run hospitals. The party further added that the number of deaths are much bigger than the state government's claim of just 18 deaths.
कि जहां लोग मर रहे हैं डेंगू में, वहां के मुख्यमंत्री फिल्म स्टारों के साथ वर्ल्ड फिल्म फेस्टिवल मना रहे हैं, लंदन जा रही हैं, अपने प्रदेश की कोई चिंता नहीं, आने वाला समय है, जनता उनको जवाब देगी, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है.
On to some other news now. An overloaded boat carrying 38 people capsized in the Krishna River near Andhra Pradesh's Vijayawada on Sunday, resulting in the death of 16 tourists, while 7 others are still missing. National Disaster Response Force team and Krishna district authorities have launched a massive search and rescue operation to trace the missing people. Now, according to reports, 17 persons have been rescued by the authorities. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu, leader of the opposition YS Jagan Mohan Reddy and others have expressed grief over the tragedy. Deputy Chief Minister N. Chena Rajappa has also rushed to the accident spot to oversee the rescue operations. He also announced an ex gratia payment of 5 lakh rupees each to the kin of the deceased.
Injured persons have gone to various hospitals, so we will take stock and account for the numbers, exact numbers. Very soon we will be able to give you, and we would like to be doing the search operation until we account for the last passenger. So 32 to 35 is the numbers that were said to be on the board. So until the last person is accounted for, our search operations will be continuing.
On to the top international story now. A powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit the region along the border between Iran and Iraq early today morning, killing at least 160 people and injuring 300 in Iran. The death toll is likely to rise. Now, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake was centered 31 kilometers outside the eastern Iraqi city of Halabja. The earthquake sparked a panic, with the residents fleeing their homes on the streets. As per the Iranian state television, Iraqi officials reported at least 6 people dead inside Iraq, along with more than 50 people injured in Sulaymanikaha, which is a province about 150 kilometers in Kanakwin city. However, there are no reports available from Iraq's government. The earthquake has reportedly knocked out electricity in Iran's western cities of Mehran and 35 rescue teams are also providing assistance there. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has emphasized on the need for maximum efforts from officials. Iran sits on major fault lines, is prone to near daily earthquakes. News from the Middle East now, and in a first television interview since his shock resignation as a Prime Minister of Lebanon 8 days ago, Saad al-Hariri has said that he will return to Lebanon in days to formally submit his resignation. He is currently in Saudi Arabia. Now, Hariri has blamed the Iran-backed Hezbollah movement for his resignation, citing concerns over his and his family's safety. He said that Lebanon was at risk of Arab economic sanctions due to interventions in Yemen and Bahrain by Hezbollah, which is part of the coalition government that Hariri has led. Hariri also brushed aside rumors that he was under de facto house arrest in Saudi Arabia. And on to sports news now, ace Indian billiards player Pankaj Advani has clinched the 17th world title in the ongoing IBSF World Billiards Championship in Doha. Advani beat Mike Russell of England 6-2 to defend the 150-up format title. Now Advani will be eyeing a grand double at the lengthier format of the ongoing tournament today. Good news from the world of tennis as well, I beg your pardon, because ace Indian players of Rajya have lifted the Knoxville Challenger men's doubles title at Tennessee in United States. Now, top-seeded Indians defeated American and Australian duo of James Caratani and John Patrick Smith 7-6, 7-6 in the final of the men's doubles. Pace and Rajya had also won their first ever title in August this year. And that's all in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.